Hey, everybody! Derek Wayne here. Welcome to the Harmony Ball podcast. Do your ears need some new barbershop music? Kim Newcomb, the baritone of the Ladies Quartet, has a new multi-track record coming out this year. You should hit her up and book her quartet on your chapter show, or better yet, as the teaching quartet at your Young People in Harmony camp, because they do a real good job with that. This episode is brought to you by the Westminster Chorus. Support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Westminster Chorus and pledge your support today. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Westminster Chorus. Your support helps us make our summer concert, which will be broadcast on Saturday, July 3rd, during the finale of the Barbershop Harmony Society's 2021 Virtual International Convention. Performing vocal music is like such an excellent way to maintain and improve your physical and emotional well-being. Singing with our friends is a journey that can lead us to powerful understanding and mental growth. On this episode, I talk with Kim Newcomb about her journey as a competitive barbershop singer. Given her success as a performer and an educator, it might surprise you to know that she did not grow up in a barbershop family. Her journey as a vocal musician has evolved from a mindset of seeking affirmation and technical perfection to include a holistic appreciation of vocal and mental health. Kim attributes this evolution to her experience singing with her quartet, the Ladies. Also, in our conversation, Kim offers insight into the most successful ways to create a youth harmony camp, what she describes as the sweet spot for the best format of harmony explosion. Also, just a little note, there's like a technical glitch on the recording where Kim sounds like she has a little echo, but it's only for like the first part, and then the computer solves whatever it needs to do, and it gets better. So, all right, here we go. Kim Newcomb, welcome to the Harmony Ball podcast.
Woo! Happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you here because I got a chance to listen to the Beautiful City learning track for the Westminster show coming up this summer, which you recorded on and sound beautiful on.
Aw, thank you.
So that's recent news. That just happened on Monday at the Westminster rehearsal, and this is going to be such a great show. I'm so excited for it, and thank you for your contribution to that. And yeah, it's good to have you here. This is just kind of the beginning of this podcast, so it's really good to have you on because I think you have a lot of barbershop experience, and you've been a member of some awesome quartets, and you have so much knowledge to share. And when we last chatted, we were talking about such beautiful things like the Ladies Quartet and Young People in Harmony and your recordings that are coming up this summer. You've got a lot of projects in the studio, and I just want to give voice to that. And I also want to talk to you about the theme of this first season of the podcast, which is all about how do we stoke the fire to get this machine running again, you know, contests and festivals. And I want that to be now, but it's not now yet, but we're going to get there.
Same.
So for our listeners, I'd love to start off and just sort of talk with you about your experience as a young person, because I think that young people in music education, it's where the future of our hobby comes from. And so I did want to speak with you at the onset about your experience coming up in Sweet Adelines in Region 4, and just tell me about how you got the bug. You know, how did you get into this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was like 12 or 13, I sang in a choir called the Austin Girls Choir. And we were preparing to go on a tour to England and France for like 2 weeks. So in preparation for that tour, we had a weekend where we just worked really hard on the music and had a bunch of sectionals. And one of the people who was leading my sectional, her name was Laura Pyle at the time. Her name is Laura DeGraw now. And she already knew about barbershop, loved it. I had no idea at this point. But we happened to have, I was like 13, she was early 20s, and we had a mutual friend who was like 17 in the middle of us. And we ended up hanging out, getting really close. She became like a big sister to me. And she showed me a recording of Ambiance singing Rhapsody in Blue. And my jaw dropped, and I listened to the whole thing with extreme excitement and was like, oh my gosh, where do I do this? So she then the next week took me to her mom's chorus rehearsal. Her mom's chorus was Austin Harmony, and I joined like the following week. So that was the beginning of it all. And I sang in a Young Women in Harmony quartet with Laura, sang in that choir for a few years. And then eventually I moved up to the Dallas Fort Worth area, where I went to the University of North Texas to get my music education degree. And I went in search, like in the first week that I was there at college, once I got myself settled, I went and searched what choruses are nearby. And the closest one to me was the Rich Tones chorus, which blew my mind. I knew who they were already. I had seen them do amazing things because they're well known in Sweet Adelines. And so I joined them and sang with them for, as long as I was there. And now I live in Indiana, so I direct a chorus in Indianapolis. So that's sort of my chorus journey. I also sang in a mixed quartet in college called Sincerity, and I sang in a women's quartet called Windsor. And then I eventually got into some other quartets like the Ladies and Half, and that's where I'm at now.
Well, Windsor is sincerely a good quartet.
Thank you.
The 2018 Windsor hit is incredible. That's like one of the best things on YouTube. For our listeners, if you haven't watched that, you should really do that because it's quite good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Tell me
and
about building that. Can you tell me about how you rehearsed that and how you put that together because it's exceptional.
the Andrew sister set was super fun. I don't even remember how we ended up with those songs. I just remember getting Hey Daddy, and we really liked that. And there were some other suggestions of songs. And at rehearsals, we would just chat. And we had a lot of help from Debbie Cleveland in creating all of the talking parts in between. So I don't know. I think it was just adding bits and pieces as we were together because we were a long distance quartet. So we got to see each other maybe once a month or something like that. So we were very focused when we were together. But every it seemed very organic, like all of the funny parts, Jenny walking in late, stuff like that, just sort of happened. We were like, this could be a fun idea. So yeah.
Well, it was executed very well and came across flawlessly. And now you sing in a quartet called the Ladies, and that's a great quartet too. I am very excited about where that quartet's going to go in barbershop harmony, and it's going to be really cool to see what you guys do next. Can you tell me? I think last time we spoke, you mentioned that you have a rehearsal coming up, and it's the first rehearsal in like maybe forever, like
Yeah, it
too
feels like
too long.
forever. For sure. Yeah, the ladies are meeting in May. We will all be vaccinated and safe and sound. And so Quincy and I are traveling to Texas to meet up with Ashley and Caroline for a weekend. And I'm super excited because we haven't seen each other since January of 2020.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
14, 15 months. That's yeah, you guys that's going to be
it's forever.
that's
It
going to
feels like,
be I also miss my quartet like crazy.
oh,
It's not fair. Just
no.
being being so but but yeah. So what's coming up for the ladies this year? What's coming up? Are you going to record? Do you have any record coming out? What's going on?
Yeah, so we actually had planned on recording an album in the summer of 2020, but then the pandemic happened and put a little pause on that. So now the plan is to record this summer. We're meeting in Texas in May and then once in June, and then we're just going to spend a week in Indianapolis recording at my place. Cole Kitzmiller is our recording engineer, coach extraordinaire person. So he will be helping us do that. I think like the second week in July, and we're just gonna make it happen.
Sweet. What are the tunes? Can you tell me?
um, yeah, I can throw off a few that come to mind. I mean, they're all songs that we've uh, sung before for people. So, "Luck Be a Lady," that
The
was
Melody
arranged by
Hine.
Melody Hine. Yes, yes, yes. "Cuddle Up," because of that awesome post that Ashley gets at the end. It's just money. "When Sunny Gets Blue," "Something's Gotta Give," "How High the Moon," "It Is Well," like all of the favorites, and then some.
Are you solo on it as well?
I am.
Is that you? Oh, that's awesome. You have such a great repertoire. I love Johnny Mercer so much. I really like Something's Gotta Give. I feel like it's one of the best jazz perennials ever penned. Great tune.
Yeah.
And Luck Be a Lady, of course, just so exciting to have Melody just kicking out more jams.
Hmm.
I had a
She's
chance to speak with her last week. We recorded, and we had so much common music love to go over. It was cool. Really
Oh,
dug
that's awesome. I love Melody Hine with my whole heart.
it. Right on. So that's cool. So ladies are gonna make a record. You're gonna record in July, and then you'll be prepared to give all your fans all the good stuff. That's nice.
Yes,
That's good. That's good. That's good.
the plan.
And there's some other stuff that you're recording on this summer too. Half and Half is recording a record.
Yes, Half and Half is also recording an album. We are almost done. We have, I think, just 3 songs left, and 2 of them are just us, and then the other one is a special feature with another quartet. But got to figure out the logistics of getting their parts recorded, with the pandemic and different timing with the vaccines and stuff like that. So hopefully ours will be done. We'll be at least done recording by August, is the hope. So, yeah.
Cool. Lots of releases coming out for you.
Hmm.
And I know from experience that like selling merch and moving some CDs or moving some, um, however you get people to support you as an ensemble is a major focus for touring groups or for arts organizations. And when you've got the stuff lined up as you're doing, you really have a cool runway to bring stuff to market when you go to do these festivals and really because it's through the recordings that we really like it's becoming more and more apparent to me even how important the well recorded stuff is especially if I like think about like when I was a teenager like driving around singing to acoustics in my car just like how fun it is to try to imagine the baritone part or
Hmm.
just like really connect through listening to recordings obsessively, which I think we've all had the chance to do as barbershop nerds.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And making those recordings is where that comes from. So that's
Huh, I
great.
never really thought about it that way. Yeah, I know like every ambient song on tenor ever, and I think that the reason my timbre is the way that it is because I attempted to sound like Shelley Sweet for years of my life because she's amazing. But yes, I totally agree. Ambiance. I did it with ambiance for sure.
That Rhapsody in Blue David Wright chart from I think the late '80s is
Mhm.
like that is some amazing music for sure.
Yes, absolutely. It's the reason that I'm in barbershop, which is also why, fun fact, haven't really told anybody else this except for my close peeps. Rhapsody in Blue is going to be on my album. I've already recorded it. The one.
Oh, so that's the third recording project for you that you're
Yeah.
going over. So you yourself, you're gonna make like a multi-tracked
Yes, like a
record.
multi-track album. I'm like somewhere between. I'm probably like 70% done with how much I've recorded, and I have a few songs left. But I made sure to get Rhapsody done sooner because it was quite a beast to sing through.
Wow, UNT really trained you well to tackle beasts.
Yep.
That's sweet. Your records are gonna be you're gonna have some great material on them. This is all A-level stuff. That's so cool.
All happening at the same time. Yeah, I when we first set out to record CDs, both half and half and the ladies, and I knew that recording an album myself was something. It's been a goal of mine for a while. I was like, I don't really want to do them all at the same time, and that's why the ladies were going to do it last summer, and half was going to wait for this summer, and then plans changed, and so now they're all happening simultaneously, and it's fine. I'm having a great time.
Right on. You probably feel really good in the studio, yeah?
Yes. I mean, the
That's
studio
awesome.
is my home, so we record literally in our closet because the clothes absorb the sound and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. You have a closet situation. That's
Have
nice.
a closet situation, yes.
Okay.
Cole has all of the equipment to do so, so he runs the session from his office, and then whoever is recording is in our walk-in closet, and it works.
Nice. That's where the magic happens.
Yes.
Dig it. Let's talk young people in harmony. I really want to hear from your perspective how we can start getting these festivals, these youth festivals, back in gear. Um, because you have a lot of experience bringing your music to these festivals. And I want to pick your brain and find out what your favorite parts and most, maybe a good question would be something along the lines of what do you find to be like the most productive format for running a music festival for young people, or what have you seen as the most successful ways to make that happen?
That's a great question. I think that the most successful ones that I've seen are like a weekend sort of harmony camp, or they arrive on like Thursday or something, an extended weekend, and you have a couple of days to focus on music, but also time built in for like social things and group activities and stuff to happen outside the music. I'm definitely a very technically minded, driven person. So in rehearsal, like I'm focused on getting down to the nitty gritty and making sure things are being sung as accurately and as healthily as possible. But I think it's just incredible what really anybody's voice can do, but especially getting young people excited about barbershop as a genre of music, because it's an opportunity for lifelong music learning. I mean, once you get out of college or high school, once you get out of school, you don't really have anywhere to perform or sing unless it's in the church. And if you're not, if that's not the place that you would like to make your music, then I feel like there aren't as many options. So when I found barbershop, I was like, this is amazing. I can do this forever and continue to learn from really wonderful educators, because I just have, you know, I think most teachers and educators probably have a thirst for education, continued education, and to continue learning in their own craft, and then so that they can give back to whoever their students are. But I think the best format is probably like a weekend camp where you I guess my favorite is the Cardinal Harmony Explosion Camp right now is the most consistent youth and harmony gig that I have, and I just love all of the people who are running it and participating. I get to be a co-clinician with Amanda Sandroni, and Theo Hicks is the um, Theo Hicks and Vince Sandroni are the other two clinicians that typically work with the male ensemble. And then we get to typically we've done 3 songs each and then work on one SATB chart together. But I think we were talking about going down to 2 just so we could have some more time to do extra stuff. Like we've had scavenger hunts and we've had like dodgeball night, and everybody loves that because it's usually like the campers against the staff members, and there's different teams. It's really fun. But some combination of quality music education and time to still just like enjoy the company of other like-minded humans is probably the sweet spot for the best format.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm curious, how do you prepare for these? You personally, how do you prepare for these harmony explosion camps?
I, well, luckily, I usually get to pick the music. So I tend to pick things that I know already, that I know work well for young voices. I mean, I taught middle school choir for a couple of years before doing freelance coaching and voice lessons and making tracks. But I think that having made the learning tracks for songs is really, really helpful. And that's pretty much all I've picked, unless Amanda has done the tracks or something like that. Someone that I know, and um, not that I don't trust other track makers. That's just sort of how it's rolled out. But my preparation ends up being the time I spent making those learning tracks gives me some insight into how everything feels in the voice because I had to sing it. I had to make it happen. And I'm not a bass by any means, but I can be aware of the sort of constraints for like young women in harmony. Because typically it's harder to find those basses or altos who can sing all weekend and not, uh, you know, uh,
Ask too much of their instrument, perhaps?
yeah, exactly. Because vocal health is something that's really, really important to me. And I feel like I didn't realize how important it was to me until I got to, watch my best friend work through some vocal health stuff. And I've learned so much from Caroline. And I'm just so thankful that she's the wonderful human that she is because she let me in and shared a lot of stuff. So I'm very cognizant and aware when I'm teaching in any manner that I'm asking my singers to make healthy choices. And that's just something you got to look out for in young women in harmony repertoire, is making sure that the lower voices are comfortable and healthy. So um, I usually, because I make the learning tracks, sometimes I'll adjust what the bass part does, and um, like restack certain chords so that the basses are still in their comfy range and can sing this over and over and over again throughout the weekend.
That's
So,
so
yeah.
cool. That's so cool because, like, my experience in music, and this will connect to your experience as a coach and an educator. Um, my experience in music has been performing, and really, I'd have very little pedagogical chops. Like I enjoy now and again giving a piano lesson or talking about vocal music with people who are curious, but I really haven't taught in my life. And so it's so interesting to hear somebody with your experience talk about preparing and also that connection with Caroline and talking about her, or you learning her experience through working through some issues. Is that's so interesting because that type of connection to someone's health is so much different when they're your friend and when you work in an ensemble with them, and that wisdom that comes from that through experience um, is really where excellence comes from. So that's so cool that you've taken that opportunity. I commend you on recognizing that.
Thank you.
I I I would love to see um, the ladies teach at a harmony explosion camp. Is that possible? Can I look at that on YouTube? Are there any? Do you have any clinics that are recorded that I can find?
I don't know if we have any that are recorded in public. We did do a like a regional education weekend for Region 10, which is our home region. So it was really awesome. We got to plan out a weekend of classes where we talked about vocal health and vocal pedagogy and got to, run some sectionals and like sing your part smart stuff. Um, but the Cardinal District Harmony Explosion Camp has actually had the ladies as faculty for the last few years. And since I serve as a clinician, usually Maggie McAlexander steps in for the baritone section to be like a section leader, and she's awesome. But I don't know if anything's recorded, but that would be really, really fun because I I wish that I could teach at all the camps ever and have my quartet be the teaching quartet because I trust all of them so much. I mean, Caroline and Ashley have exactly the same degree that I have in music education because all three of us went to the University of North Texas. So I know I was taught to teach the same way that they were taught to teach. So I know we have similar stuff going on. And Quincy has just been in barbershop forever. So she has an incredible ear, great oral skills. And on top of that, on top of trusting them with music in general, I think that they are all the most high quality human beings that I know. I mean, Carolyn, they're all my best friends, and they all teach with compassion and kindness. And the longer that I'm teaching, the more I'm realizing that it's less about musical perfection and it's more about encouraging people to break down their barriers and allow themselves to do what their voices already know how to do. And um, it's just so interesting how frequently in the voice lessons that I teach, I'm just talking about you don't have to say you're sorry for missing a note, or you don't have to feel bad that that was whatever, or don't say that was bad. Say that wasn't as efficient as I wanted it to be. I'm really, really trying to change the language around how we speak to ourselves because I think bigger picture in society, we don't have a very kind inner dialogue going on just in general. And that transfers to when we're thinking about our voices. There's not usually, at least in my head and in the experience that I've had with my students, we're so quick to judge and be hard on ourselves when we could probably be more effective if we were to think about singing as efficient or inefficient, accurate or inaccurate, versus this sounds bad or I hate my voice. So that was a bit of a tangent. I don't
Oh
even know.
no, that's great. I thought that was wonderful. I the that connects so well with this book I'm reading. The inner, I think you said the inner. It wasn't inner monologue. It was like like maybe the story that we tell ourselves about how we're experiencing that, how kind we are being to ourselves. And you're so right as an educator that that is. I just believe it so deeply, like that the kindness that we show ourselves is the way that we can learn most effectively, to use your words. And so I'm reading John Newell's book called Climbing the Mountain, which is about depression and his experience with it. And so much of that text goes into the thought that you're describing, which is that what we tell ourselves about ourselves, the story we tell ourselves,
Yeah.
that it has so much bearing on how our lives are lived and how effectively we can learn and how we see ourselves in an ensemble or at a camp or in a choir or during the school year or with our best friends or in a group of people that we don't know. And I guess maybe there just hasn't been enough written on this. Are you going to incorporate this after you're done with all these rad recordings? Are you going to start writing like pedagogy books? Do you
Oh
have any of
my,
these?
I can't even imagine writing a book. I don't even
Ah,
know how I would do that. I would much rather just like go visit people and give talks, or maybe I could do like a video blog thing. I don't know. Writing just sounds so intimidating to me.
I see.
But I would be happy to share and just continue to build upon this idea that we need to speak more kindly to ourselves. I mean, the first time I heard about that concept was in college, I think, when Caroline was telling me about how the synapses in your brain create different paths, and like whatever you're telling yourself, whether or not it's true, your brain is going to slowly believe it and follow that pathway because it's just used most frequently. That's why it's hard to build new habits and new thought processes, because you have to do it over and over and over again to retrain your brain to think, no, I'm not a bad singer, I have a beautiful voice, and I just need to pay some more attention on this particular phrase and be a little bit more accurate. Like, that's way better than saying I'm a terrible human because I missed this note. And I think that singers have it as a unique challenge, because since our body is our instrument, it feels really personal. It feels really vulnerable to share any part of your voice, because it feels like if someone says something negative, they're saying something negative about you. But you are a separate entity from your voice. Even if you never get to sing a note ever again, that doesn't mean you're not a wonderful and valuable human being. And I think that we don't talk about that nearly often enough, especially in singing, because we're so focused on, I got to get these notes right and I got to get this ready for the show or for the contest or for whatever. And as much as I really hate the pandemic and all of the things it put a hold on, it sort of forced me to spend some time reflecting on myself and how I treat myself and speak to myself. And in doing that, I realized that I can help facilitate that positive conversation for other people in regards to music. So, yeah.
Do you think that contests are a little much sometimes?
Yeah, I think that I love contest. I don't know what it is about competition and just feeling like, yeah, I know exactly where I am. There are specific numbers, specific letter names. Not that I remember any of the numbers or letter names I've ever received, but it feels nice to know like there's some specifics. But at the same time, I hate what competition made me believe about myself up until I started singing with the ladies, really. I felt like when I got to be with the ladies, it was more about friendship and it was more about just having a healthy and happy, good time. And they didn't care. I was like the one person who cared most about competition. So surrounding myself with people who didn't really care about it gave me a different perspective. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I can breathe. We don't have to do this. And I had to work on some like inner struggles with that. But I think that competition can be a lot, and that if it makes you happy, awesome. But I think that the percentage of people who are as excited about it as I used to be maybe wasn't as large as I thought it was. I don't know. So, kind of a complicated answer, I
So
guess.
you've had a journey with, and tell me if I'm getting this right, you've had a journey from caring about competition so much to a more robust understanding of what being in an ensemble is, where it's more about friendship and having a. You use the word health a lot, and I really admire that. I think we maybe sort of gloss over how what the health benefits of a singing ensemble truly are. It's an
Mm,
extremely healthy habit,
yeah,
but it
absolutely.
can be deterred by a competition mindset in which there's like just this one thing that matters only. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't I I've never really felt that too much, although I can say that having a body of my peers say that you've done a good job to this
Mm-hmm.
degree feels good, and it's rewarding in that regard. I wonder, and you could probably speak to this. I wonder how we could encourage people to sing more healthfully in the competition cycle, or in not cycle. That's not the right word. In like how do we encourage more healthy singing in our barbershop harmony society?
Yeah. Well, when I say healthy singing, I'm literally talking about like the mechanics of it. Are you also talking about like the mental health aspects of singing as well?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, I think that it's just going to be a big mindset shift. Like, I think the reason that I love competition and was really excited about it for a long time for like the wrong reasons is because that's just how I received my affirmation growing up. Like, my love language is words of affirmation. So I get having a group of your peers saying something nice about you. I'm there with you for sure. But as for as long as I can remember, singing has been my thing. My grandpa was a singer. I remember watching Shirley Temple movies and singing along with her when I was little. I like got the big part in a musical when I was in kindergarten. Like all of that stuff. I was in the Austin Girls Choir and then barbershop ensemble after barbershop ensemble. And
Oh, Kim, you got to tell me what your grandpa sang.
oh, I mean, I would say that his voice was like a cross between Elvis and Frank Sinatra. He had a beautiful voice, and he didn't sing any barbershop. No one in my family knew what barbershop was until I happened upon it because of Laura DeGraw. But yeah, so I think that and then I was in like the all-state choir when I was in high school, and that's like a whole big thing in Texas. So competition was just a real driver for me to be like, I know that I can do well at this and that people will tell me I did a good job.
And you
So
have.
yeah,
Indeed, you have.
thank you. But for so long I focused on if I can produce near perfection in my voice, people will value me. And I think that through my friendship with like Caroline and the ladies, it really changed my perspective about that, and that I could have these really awesome musical moments. I'm definitely a person who can enjoy barbershop literally just because of technique. I don't have to listen to the words. I don't have to watch anyone perform. I can just enjoy it that way wholeheartedly. But I've learned that it's okay for me to love overtones and love ringing chords and stuff like that. It's okay for me, but that my value as a human or even as a singer isn't because of those things. It's because I can tell a story, or I can help to create a moment where the audience and my ensemble, where whoever I am getting to sing with in that moment, we can help create an opportunity for people to escape the worries and woes of their daily lives, for them to feel like they identify with whatever story we're singing and that they don't feel so alone. You know, there's a lot of much more impactful things I can do if I focus on not just technical perfection. And I've worked on technical perfection my whole life, so I feel pretty good at being accurate. So now I'm on a new thing.
That's a good journey to be on. Yeah, the next thing. And then I think there's a yin and yang thing here too, where it's like there's a lot of people who are naturally inclined to feel less affirmation in perfection, perhaps, and they have that other side to lend to maybe those of us who feel oppositely, more than less.
Yeah.
And that's a cool journey to be on. Especially, I think that your experience in that regard really is very representative of our culture in general,
Mm-hmm.
just due to its competitive nature and ranking, and these we rehearse so we can execute flawlessly, which has been so ingrained in our style.
Mm-hmm.
And in one way, it's defendable because the music is highly technical.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be rehearsed to a high degree, and yet there's something beyond that which you're speaking to, which is awesome because that's really where the magic comes from. And you couldn't have picked more caring humans to sing with in your ensemble, to be in that journey, that personal journey of yours. Just given my experience with those lovely people, and so excited about what you're going to produce this summer with them. And give us all that recording that young people can, drive around in their car to and listen to obsessively, and the circle continues.
Exactly.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff. Getting past the technical proficiency. Who do you think has like, if you were gonna like talk about like people that you see in barbershop that have gone on that journey before you, who would you talk about?
Mm. Um, I think that I think there are probably more than I can think of off the top of my head because we have so many high quality humans in the barbershop world.
We do. We're
But
all a bunch of awesome nerds.
yeah, exactly, a bunch of nerds. But I think that my immediate thought is all of Instant Classic because I've gotten to watch them rehearse and watch them talk and just have conversations with them about all sorts of things. And I think that they too, in the year that they won, especially, I know they focused a lot on some technical things like the vowel stuff and making sure that they're all in the same place. But in addition to that, I know that they talked a lot about like just being really present and in the moment and making a difference, creating uh, an experience, you know?
I do.
And it's been really awesome continuing to be close to them. Obviously, since I'm dating one of them, I get some insight there. But I get to work with Theo at Harmony Explosion camps, and I
I've heard really good things about Theo's. Uh, I've never sung for him in his chorus. I've
uh,
hung out with the guy a few times. He's a cool character. That
he's a
guy.
cool guy. He's a
Yeah,
cool guy.
good
He knows his
lead.
stuff, and he
He
is the
knows his
most
stuff.
humble human that I can think of. Um, like you, obviously, he will accept compliments. He's kind, but I just think that he is so down to earth and is well grounded in a lot of his teaching philosophies and just the way that he sees the world and interacts with people. So I don't know, pretty much all of Instant Classic because I am lucky enough to be friends with all of them and have opportunities to talk to them about lots of things. And my ladies, obviously, again, these are people that I get to work with in many different capacities and just exist around because of friendship that shows me that they've been on a similar journey in some way, shape, or form. Especially, I mean, Cole, we've talked a lot about what competition means, and he was he got there sooner to the point of like competition doesn't really matter um as much as I don't know. I remember us having conversations and me being like, well, it really does because if you win, you get to do all of these things. But I think that that's sort of changing that you don't have to win a crown or a medal to be active in your community. I mean, like, look at GQ. They haven't won yet, but they have viral videos and, um, people who love them near and far. So I'm thankful. And my quartet hasn't won yet, but we've gotten to teach at regional events, which is something that I've always wanted to do anyway. So I think that it's just deprogramming this belief that you have to win and reach a certain point before you're able to do anything when you can just do all the things you want and it'll probably be fine.
Yeah, wise teaching there. Yeah. I want to think about this phrase that you used last time we chatted about testing the waters of being yourself, and how useful, or maybe not useful, how about how fertile, or um, just, oh, there's so much potential for that when you're in drama class or at a harmony explosion camp or working towards a all-state ensemble or something like that.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that? Because I know you have a lot of experience in choral music, and I think sometimes as experienced people, we maybe don't say it out loud enough. And just to bolster that, it really is a very safe place generally. And I wanted to get your words on that subject because that's something we spoke about a lot last time we chatted.
Mhm.
And I think it's really important to everyone. I think everyone in the society really, we kind of know that on a certain level. Like any group of humans getting together to do the thing they love, whatever it is, underwater basket weaving or singing barbershop,
Mhm.
whatever it is, there's this like acceptance that grows.
Yeah.
And I want to I want to talk with you about that because I feel like this mental health that we're going to need a lot of focus on and energy towards really can be routed through that testing the waters of being yourself phrase that you use. And I I wonder if you could expand on that today.
Yeah. I think that there are many different ways that we can test the waters of being ourselves, especially in music, because I think that for me, a few things come to mind. One is I remember singing tags with people and testing the waters of like belting a high note and holding it to see how long can I do it. And sometimes you try and it just doesn't happen. But the good thing about tags is that you can just do it over and over again until it works. But that's really where I tested my extremes is when we're tagging and it's late at night and nobody cares and it doesn't matter, right? So it's a safe space. It also makes me think of people like Melody Hine, uh, which, as I mentioned earlier, I love her with my whole heart, but I think that she is just so authentically herself that it makes other people feel like it's okay for them to be themselves. And I think just seeing moments of like what I see in Melody, but in lots of different people in barbershop, just because of the nature of barbershop and how we dive into music and ask about personal stories and how you can relate to the story of the songs and all that good stuff. We tend to get put in places where we have to be really vulnerable. And if you get to be really vulnerable and the people around you after you have been vulnerable are like, wow, that's really awesome. Thank you for sharing. We should totally think about that while we're singing. You're going to feel so empowered to continue being yourself and saying whatever is true to you because you're accepted for exactly who you are. Um, and something else that it makes me think of is just at the Harmony, the Cardinal District Harmony Explosion Camp that I get to teach at every summer. I remember at the end of the event where, you know, all the campers are on stage and parents take some pictures and then we disperse and people are like hugging and saying how they're going to miss each other and all sorts of stuff. I had a singer come up to me and they were like, I just want to tell you that I feel this weekend I felt so worried that I wasn't going to fit in or that I wouldn't have any friends because I don't have any people here from my school. And I just felt so welcomed and so safe and so seen. And they were sad that they weren't going to get to sing anymore. I mean, obviously they still had school, but they weren't going to get to sing barbershop until next summer. And I was like, you should totally come join my chorus. And now they sing with my chorus, and I get to watch them perform. I mean, obviously we're doing virtual stuff right now, but when we're in person, they are just the most wonderful performer and have constant like smiles and authentic expressions and are willing to be vulnerable and I just love watching them sing. So there are so many ways that you can test the waters of being yourself and then it's super likely that you're going to be accepted and welcomed and continue to have an opportunity to take up space just as you are. And I think we need more and more of those experiences to feel like it's okay to do that every second of every day and not just when we're allowing ourselves to tell a story and dip our toe in the water that way.
I like that. It was
Mm.
when you said that they hadn't they were worried that they weren't going to be accepted because there wasn't anyone there from their school. That's a problem or a situation that I hadn't thought about in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. You show up to this thing, you're gonna hang out, but everyone there's already peer groups established, so it's like
Hmm.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Uh, but there's something about singing harmony music that lets us get past that pretty quickly. And it's really valuable, and I can't wait for it to be part of what we do as a society again real soon because it is necessary for us.
Agreed.
And yeah, yeah, that's interesting about that story because so much. I can speak to my personal experience of feeling like being a fish out of water a lot in my life, and looking around being like how do I fit in here, like really I don't know if I do, should I go figure it out or should I stick it out or should I leave, or and then you start thinking about
Hmm.
like these different methods of coping, where what you should be doing is maybe working on a piece of art with someone that you don't know very well. That'd probably be a lot more helpful.
Yeah. We just got to get out of our own way because all of those thoughts, all of those anxious thought processes are not serving you in any way, shape, or form. They're just keeping you from peace and fun and joy. Just got to get out of our own way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I miss singing tags at 3 a.m.
Same.
Pasadena, Westminster will be there. I am very excited about it. Will the ladies be there? I sure hope they will be in Pasadena Midwinter Convention 2022.
Probably. I think that it will just depend on if, well, because midwinter is like a week long thing, and we have people who have real jobs, not like me, where I can make. I'll be there. I'm sure I'll be there. I'm gonna go to all the barbershop things, but hopefully, yeah, we can all go.
Well, that would be wonderful to see the ladies perform there if it's possible. And if not, I will see y'all on stage sometime next year, I'm sure, because it's just going to be we're all going to be taking every opportunity we possibly can to get back into the festival world because we have pent up demand, as they say in economics.
Absolutely.
Floodgates going to come down. We're just going to be buying tickets and CDs and records, and we're going to want that so
Mm,
much because we need that so much. Kim,
yep.
it's been so good to speak with you and talk about the value of our organization and look forward to the future with you and look into inclusivity a little bit and talk about your journey into becoming a barbershopper when you listen to that ambiance track. And it's coming full circle for you because you're going to record it on your new record. You already recorded it, right? It's like already in the can. Did you say that?
Exactly. And that's why I did it, because it's like the reason that I'm in barbershop. So it felt appropriate for my first album.
Nice. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. Ah, well, so nice to chat with you. I think we'll just wrap it up now. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, well, that's a wrap. And this has been good. Thank you so much for contributing to this. It's been lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the wonderful, thoughtful questions and giving me a space to just sort of talk through so many things that I've kind of been thinking about in teaching. I feel like we talked more about mental health than we talked about last time, but it felt very cathartic for me to just say out loud all of the things that I've kind of been thinking over the last couple of months while teaching. So thanks for that.
Of course. Yeah. I think that it's when you were talking about perfection and accuracy, I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking about Will Harris making fun of me, or not making fun of me, but ribbing me for doing the same thing. He was like, Derek's a very accurate singer, which what he probably means is he's focusing on being accurate rather than telling a story most of the time. And he needs to Get beyond that.
That's my same struggle, man. We're on the same page. I
It's
still
struggling.
have a hard time being like, I don't have to make an internal list of all the mistakes so that I can fix them later.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also wonder, like, oh, here's something we didn't talk about. I wonder how we can, like, give birth to, like, the next level of studio singer, you know? Because, like, so much of, like, how people do barbershop now is multi-tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I wonder, like, how barbershop harmony festivals can, like, teach those people.
Hmm. I don't know. I imagine we could have like some, you know how Harmony University is like a bunch of classes, but you can also perform in different ways. I wonder if having some more of like the class format m- melded into what a harmony festival looks like so that someone could teach about how to do that in the studio and not not be so nitpicky. It's a little bit different for me because I'm making like learning tracks, so they have to be very precise because that's what people are paying me for. But I try to be less heavy handed on the stuff I'm doing for my album. And that's been a journey too. I remember, I think one of the first songs I did when I was recording Rhapsody, and I edited the first part, you know, lined it up, made sure things were right, and asked Cole to come in and listen to it. And he was like, I think you did a little more than you probably need to. And it was so hard for me mentally to be like, I feel like I barely did anything, but I need to relax and know that I think he said something to the effect of like, you're good enough that you don't need to do all of that. And I was like, oh man.
Hmm.
Thanks, Cole.
Hmm. Do you listen to any music outside of barbershop that helps you relax?
Um, yeah, but mostly only recently. For as long as I can remember before this pandemic, I pretty much listened to barbershop and only barbershop or like top 40 music where I don't care and I can just jam to it. But recently I made like a self-care playlist that I listen to when I am doing my self-care stuff like stretching and breathing exercises and meditating and stuff like that. I've gotten on a have I designate self-care time every day to do like 8 things. It's like make your bed, drink a bunch of water, breathe, stretch, meditate, read a book about, and right now I'm reading a book that's called The Body is Not an Apology. So it's definitely like all about reframing the way that I see myself in a variety of ways. But I've been listening to that self care playlist a lot, and I just have songs on there from, I've searched like confidence playlists, and I took a class that Kyla Hallam's, I don't know if you know her, she's a barbershopper but also is really into like dancing and body positivity, and she held a class called, it was just a body love class where we like journaled and stretched and talked about stuff, and she had a playlist that she played during that class and shared it with us, so I stole a bunch of songs from there. But it's been really interesting. Like just the other day I did something. I was in the car and I felt anxious about getting home because I needed to do something when I got home. And I couldn't get myself out of this like anxiety downward spiral of dialogue inside my head. And about halfway through the drive, I put on my self-care playlist, and immediately as this one of the songs started playing, I just felt like this overwhelming peace that was like everything's going to be okay. And that's when I knew that I've like successfully rewired my brain, at least to a certain extent, where I can come back to this place of peace, this place of quiet where I don't have all of the noise in my head. Because for like so long, I avoided being alone or being alone with my thoughts, really, because I didn't know how to process them without it being just a negative downward spiral. So I just kept myself busy. So
That is very honest.
yeah.
I think that's a very truthful way of sharing how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
And the power, and you're also sharing a method of working through that. And I'm gonna think about this self-care playlist. I've made playlists before that I've like played. I never labeled them self-care playlists.
Yeah, you
Maybe I should
should.
try that.
I just was talking to somebody the other day, or like I was teaching a class, and then we ended with questions, and somehow we got on the self-care train. And I was like, your body is your instrument. So like you need to take care of your body, and also you need to take care of your mental health, because it, like, if you've ever needed to cry, you feel your throat tense up, right? So you can't sing. So there's obviously a connection between our mental and physical health and activities. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to preach that everyone needs to spend more time on themselves, and then they'll be a better human and performer and everything.
Dig it. Let's sing a quiet tag.
Okay, quiet tag. I want to sing Silvery Moonlight.
Silvery Moonlight. All right, that's good. That's a great tag. I love that tag. It's a good tag for a tenor.
Yeah,
it's a good tenor tag. All right, it's on. Kim, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I will keep you in the loop as to when it gets published.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Derek. I really appreciate it. This is great.
All right, well, bye now.
Bye.
Ah, what a sweetheart. And so talented. You should really buy her record and book her quartet because they're very good. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Harmony Ball podcast. Until then, I'm Derek Wayne saying, keep the dream alive.